you're kicked to the curb with nothing else to do, what can you do in order to reduce your risk of cancer coming back? Phase 1 being to restore, to top up what was used up during treatment. Phase 2 being to remove, which is removing all the crap that gets built up during treatment as well as day-to-day life. So improving your removal processes, detoxification. And also phase 3 is about protecting, which once phase 2 and phase 3 are mostly into place, we're looking at reducing exposures, killing cancer cells, and overall optimizing the functioning of the body. So these are your initial starting points. When cancer treatment is done, or at least nearly done, you're told that your treatment worked, there's not really any cancer left, or they're pretty confident that there's no cancer left. So go celebrate, go ring that bell, go figure out what are you going to do next. And that can be what's supposed to be a huge sense of relief, where you've been through the worst of it. You received the diagnosis. You went through all the emotional turmoil. You went through the chemo or the radiation or the surgery or the medications. And perhaps you're even someone who had never really been on medications before. And you had to go through all of this. It's completely new, completely scary. And then it's over. And you're supposed to feel kind of like this sense of relief. And you feel like you should be grateful and free. And perhaps you do feel that. And it's totally possible to feel almost like two dichotomies of emotions at once, right? So you do feel grateful. You don't have to go through treatment anymore. You've survived this. You've essentially kind of won, I guess, is some people don't like that kind of terminology, but you've won. And now you get to go live your life. But then you realize that there are no more appointments coming up. You potentially don't get to see your doctor again for about 3 months or 6 months for another scan to kind of see what's going on, what kind of has changed since your last treatment. And no longer do you have people holding your hands anymore. The doctor's telling you what needs to be done and what needs to be tested, and that, yes, we can confirm you're on the right track. Things are looking good. And you're kind of released into the wild where you're on your own, basically. And that can be really scary. So you can feel really grateful. You can feel really relieved. But at the same time, it can be terrifying. You don't know what's next. And you still don't feel like yourself. You still potentially have some side effects from treatment where you've got fatigue, joint pain. Maybe your weight has changed. You need to lose weight or gain weight. Perhaps you've had some hair changes, your hair, your skin. You just don't feel like yourself anymore. You have new scars and you're starting to kind of think, is this it? Is this how I'm going to be for the rest of my life? And you don't know how to ask for help a lot of the time because your team was there to kill the cancer, to get you through where you're at right now. And they don't really have the tools in their toolbox to move you on to the next step, which is recovery, feeling better, resolving the fatigue, feeling better in your body, more confident about your future. And many of the times the women, they come to work with us and the descriptions of what they've been through emotionally, where they're absolutely tired, tired emotionally, physically kind of thing. They are lost. They are digging into the research themselves, trying to figure out what is the best foods to eat. What ones should I really not eat because it's totally going to cause cancer to grow? Or what supplements should I be taking right now because I want to block my cancer pathways. I want to do this right. I don't want to interfere with my medications that I might still be on. And it's super frustrating to not have this next step into place here. And to just hear that there's nothing you can do, just go back to living your life, enjoy, can be very devastating for a lot of women, I guess. It can be very disheartening. To hear just come back for another scan in 3 to 6 months, I feel like we're doing a lot of people a disservice in this situation. And honestly, what happens if you break your leg, right? If someone breaks their leg, what happens to that person? They get a full recovery plan. It's not just like, here's your cast, see you in 3, 6 months, whenever it comes off. Hopefully it's 3 months. But they say you go to physio, you get some exercises to fix this muscle that's going to be depleted after the bone is healed. People are going to check in on you, basically. And same with like a stroke. There's stroke rehab programs. You have speech therapy, occupational therapy. Often there's meal plannings, mental health support, all that kind of stuff. But it's often very hard just to get mental health support in the cancer world. So what's going on here? What is really this gap? And what can we do about it? If you're resonating with all of this, I hear you, I see you. This is totally stuff that we we live on. We hear these stories every day, and we want to make a difference. Myself, my team want to make a difference when it comes to what are your next steps. And today, I want to start you out with an overarching view of what are the three phases that someone kind of needs to go through post-treatment. What can we do to actually get someone into recovery and to heal their bodies, feel confident in their future, feel confident in their health, and really dig into what can they do to reduce the risk of their cancer coming back. This is such a huge gap. We've got the research for it. We got the knowledge, but it's just like there's no one there to really put it into place. So that's what we're going to do over on this podcast day by day. I hope you are able to tune in pretty regularly. So I just want to put this concept out there that people say to go back to normal, or to find your new normal. Um, but what does that really mean? What does that mean basically? And it can mean something different for everybody. And I really think that it's not necessarily going back to a normal. I think it's about evolving post-treatment. I think it's about you've already probably learned so much through your cancer treatment, cancer diagnosis. You've probably learned so much about your health and body and how things work that I feel like we're now evolving. We're coming into another version of you. And it's not like a scary version. It's not going to be 100% different because perhaps you potentially loved who you were beforehand and you do want to get back to that life and you can get back to the life. But let's just you're getting back to it with new knowledge, basically. We're reinventing, we're reshaping your future and who you are and how you feel. And even though you've gone through cancer, you can feel better. You can live in confidence. You can live without fear for sure. Will I say it's 100% going to go away forever? Absolutely not. This is something that has dramatically impacted you, that has changed a lot of what you do, how you see things, how you eat, how you move. All these things have definitely changed. So I would consider it more of a evolution of who you are. So we're taking all the best parts and creating something even better, basically. And honestly, post-treatment is such an opportune time to change. You are motivated. You do not want to go through treatment again. You want to feel better. You want to make changes and you are ready. And even though you might be a little bit emotionally drained, you are still ready. You still want to feel better, right? That's a motivation in itself. And also, your body is screaming for support. It's been through so much, it's had to process so much. And it's like, give me everything you can in order to make us feel better right now. And this is an opportune time to do that for your body because you're mentally motivated and you're physically needing it, right? Most conventional doctors don't teach this part. I think part of it is that they just don't have enough time. They're overwhelmed. There's so much going on, so much they need to know when it comes to chemo and radiation and medication dosages and managing side effects and getting people lined up for surgeries and stuff like that, getting ready immunotherapy. They don't have enough time to make sure that they're also optimizing someone's health. They want to make sure that you're getting through it. And then they kind of have to hope that you can kind of scrape it together on your own, which I'm sure they don't want to do. It's just an unfortunate part of how our healthcare system works. And we need more people, we need more time. Absolutely. There's so much research showing that in order for people to make change, whether it comes to nutrition or exercise or other lifestyle adjustments, they require regular check-ins and feedbacks. And it's a huge overwhelm on the conventional system to see someone every week in order to make sure that they were eating appropriately or actually getting the exercise in. So it's just not within their capabilities as things stand right now to do these kind of things. The second part of that, which you may already have been screaming at me, is that they often don't have the appropriate education. I tell you, I do not know how to give chemotherapy. I do not know how to give radiation. I don't know how to do immunotherapy. I don't know how to prep someone for surgery. I don't know the appropriate medications, things like that, because that would require a whole other lifetime's worth of education, basically. So why would we expect the medical professionals, the conventional medical professionals, to fully understand all the ins and outs of nutrition and exercise and supplementation and functional testing? It is a whole degree, right? This is where we're going to focus is on what can we fill in to basically give you kind of like a mini medical degree on what can you do when it comes to in-depth nutrition, comprehensive nutrition, more personalized supplementation, appropriate functional testing in order to understand what is going on in your body and what can you do about it. Let's start talking about the three-phase framework and what can we do when it comes to reducing someone's risk overall, the whole recovery process. Let's really get into it right now. So phase one, I call this to restore. Phase two is all about removing, and phase three is all about protecting. So we got restore, remove, and protect. And there's some overlap between these phases for sure, but we kind of always want to start with phase one, restore. If we jump into the other ones before we restore your body with what it needs, then you're just going to feel worse. So we're definitely going to start with phase one, restore, even though there's going to be a little bit of overlap where, for example, we get into phase three, protection, and it's like, well, part of protection is restoring the body. But let's start from the beginning. So restore is basically, what is this? It's about topping up what was used up during treatment. So you went through chemo, radiation, surgery. You don't have to go through all of them. Even just one of them is very depleting to the body. Perhaps you're still in immunotherapy, or you might even still be in some of these. What's going on? Your body has to process all of this. It has to go, the medications have to go through the liver, sometimes the kidneys, they get byproducts are broken down and remove through the intestines. All of this requires vitamins and minerals and proteins and carbs and fats and all these things that are building blocks in your body in order to process them. And I want you to picture this. I want you to picture a fixer-upper house where it's potentially made of bricks, and some of the bricks are missing. Some of the windows are a little bit broken. Some of them are fine. A couple of them are a little bit cracked. But you definitely notice that it has good bones, and it's something you want to restore. I'm just always picturing like Home and Garden TV. I pretty much grew up on Home and Garden TV. My mom always had HGTV on. She'd be doing housework or whatever around the house, and they're like always HGTV. It's just a pleasant thing in the background, right? So I can have visuals of people looking at fixer uppers and saying it has good bones. But I just want to picture this house. It's brick. It's missing a couple bricks. It's got some cracks in the windows. Maybe the grass is all grown up around it. But you just tell it's in a great neighborhood. You love its location, and you can tell that the bones are there. You just need to apply some paint, add in a couple bricks, that kind of thing. It's been through a few storms, but you can fix it up. So what is this? It's a restoration, right? Same as we have to restore your body, we have to restore the house. And we need to look at, what do you need in order to restore this house? Well, you need building blocks, you need bricks, you need wood. This is what you kind of need as the foundational pieces in order to put this house back together, to get those walls back in place, to make it nice and sturdy again. Maybe need some glass kind of thing in order to repair those windows. But these are your building blocks. Some building blocks that can reflect back into your body are the macronutrients, for example. So macronutrients, they are protein, carbs, and fat. And these are also, same as you got your bricks and your wood for your restoration of your house, you've got your macronutrients for the restoration of your body. They are the main building blocks that a lot of your tissues and your cells and the different mechanisms in your body take place. In order to put your wood and your bricks together, you also require things like nails, because you got to put the wood pieces together. You can tell I'm not a carpenter. You also need the mortar in order to glue the bricks together. What are these little pieces, these little things that help to put the big building blocks together? These are like the glue, basically putting them all together. And in terms of your body, these will be like the micronutrients, or the little vitamins and minerals and all these little, like the vitamin C, the vitamin D, the A, the K, the zinc, the magnesium. All these kind of things are like the nails and mortar of your house. They need to help to put the proteins, the carbs, and the fat into place. All right. So we need all of these pieces in order to restore your body. Kind of comes back to like, you are what you eat. I feel like this used to be on like the Ninja Turtles or something like that, where they're talking. I feel like I might have this wrong. I'll have to look this up after. I'm like, I think they were talking about pizza at the time, which is not quite what I'm talking about, but I hope you understand the whole saying of you are what you eat. And if you do know what I actually mean, where that saying came from, then let me know. You can like message me on Instagram if you're interested, but I'll also look it up. So here's the thing is, whenever women are going through cancer treatment, they are more concerned with eating this food because it's anti-cancer, or excluding that food because it is cancer promoting. They're more concerned with gaining or losing weight, or lectins, or gluten-free, or dairy, and things like that. And a lot of this often ends up in not only confusion and overwhelm, and just basically there's a negative feeling in your body. You're also going to be under eating or over restricting, and this is going to take away some of these building blocks and the micronutrients and the glue that's going to hold everything together, because you're starting to get so narrow in what you're going to eat that you're going to start missing out on a couple things as well. But if we can change the thought process from anti-cancer this, cancer killing that, into more of bodybuilding. And I don't mean like you got to go do some bodybuilding competitions, but you can if you want. I'm talking about building all the complexes that have been broken down while you're going through treatment. So we need to restore, right? So let's first address, like, we don't want to approach this. And there's a piece of anti-cancer foods and cancer killing foods and stuff like that for sure that we want to include in here. But I'll go through this more in depth probably in an upcoming training very, very soon, where I'll go through the 4 keys of nutrition. But we want to focus on building up your resources, restoring what has been removed and needs extra support, as opposed to killing cancer cells at this point, especially when you're in treatment or very close to have finished or nearly finishing treatment kind of thing. We really need to restore the body. If you're potentially 6 months, a year out, this is probably still a key part of what you need to do if you are especially having like low stamina, joint pain, inflammatory symptoms, or fatigue, things like that. We need to restore the body is usually what's going on here. But if you're like 5, 10 years out, this might be a little bit less of a factor. But yeah, if you're just recently finished treatment, then we want to look at restoring your body. Also, like, nutrient deficiencies are super common post-treatment, and they're not often tested for because, again, your medical team, they don't have a lot of time. They're so focused on getting you through cancer, getting you NED, just making sure you make it through all the parts of treatment, that they're not often looking at, like, what are you currently eating in terms of your protein? What are your iron blood levels at right now? Your B12, your magnesium, all these kind of things. And we do know that a lot of treatments, whether it's the anesthesia from surgery or the chemotherapies or immunotherapies, they do tend to deplete a lot of things like magnesium, for example. So testing these is not a bad idea whenever it comes to blood work. Again, I'm totally going to cover this in all of the podcast episodes that I'll be doing. So nutrient deficiencies are common. Women are often under eating or over restricting whatever they are eating because they're thinking about special diets that are made for cancer. But really what your body needs at this point, when you're finished or nearly finished treatment, even up to like 6 months, depending on any symptoms, is we need to replenish. We need to put the walls up. We need to put the bricks back in place. We need to replace those panes of glass, and we need to stick it all together with the mortar and the nails and the glue and things like that. So we need your macronutrients, we need your protein, we need your carbs, we need your fat. These are your building blocks. These are what you're made of, basically. These are in every cell. And we need your micronutrients in order to help these macronutrients, these protein, carbs, and fats, to be put into place. All right. This phase is totally about replenishing your health. A big reason why women and people in general are fatigued during and after treatment is because, like, you're going through all of these resources so quickly that your body is always going to prioritize what is necessary in order to survive as opposed to what is necessary in order to thrive. So people are so fatigued because they are running through the protein, carbs, and fats, and the vitamins and the magnesium and the zinc and all these kind of things super fast in order to heal tissues that may have been damaged, or to process the medications to manage the immune function and things like that. So if we can restore the body, get everything functioning optimally, that's often going to give women more energy as well, because they already have everything working. They don't need to repair anything. Your body's not shunting its energy resources where they're needed. Now you can have energy to think. Now you can have energy to move and have more stamina and go on hikes and hang out with the kids or the grandkids, take the dog for a walk, volunteer at the church. Whatever you need to do is going to happen once we restore your body. Like I mentioned this a little bit earlier, we definitely need to restore before we do anything fancier, like look at anti-cancer foods or cancer-killing foods, or go even into exercise. Sometimes we can do a little bit of exercise for sure, but we want to restore before we get fancy with supplements too, because restoring is going to help your digestive system to work optimally, and then anything you're going to eat in terms of anti-cancer foods or supplements is going to get absorbed better. So key number one is definitely to look at restoring your body. I'm going to give you one key take home from this part too, is protein. And it doesn't matter if it's animal or plant-based protein. I want you to make sure that you're getting enough protein. And the general recommendations in the research, especially during cancer treatment, and I would say that extends for all women, whether they're in cancer treatment or not, if they ever even had a cancer diagnosis, I think a general good guideline for protein intake would be 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So what you can do is figure out what is your body weight in kilograms, and then basically that's the grams of protein that you can eat per day. And there's a lot of free apps out there that you can use. We use Better by Practice Better because it's linked to our charting, and we can automatically kind of see over our client's shoulder what are they typically eating if they're tracking their food. Or you can just get a general idea of, like, okay, so like a chicken breast has about 20 grams of protein. If I have one chicken breast at supper, maybe if I need another, maybe I need, I don't know, like 60 grams of protein per day. I can have 20, 20, let's say 20 for breakfast. I can have 20 for lunch, and then I just have 20 for supper kind of thing. So you can just kind of figure out what generally has about 20 grams of protein. You look at chickpeas, you can look at beans, lentils, fish. All these things are good protein sources. And I say protein because it is like one of the greater things that we can do when it comes to building your body. It's like one of the most used building blocks, kind of like how wood would probably be the most used building block in a house. Okay. So protein, we want to aim for about 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, generally speaking. This is not personalized medical advice, but it's just generally speaking. And the only thing we want to really watch out for is people who have kidney disease. So you probably need a little bit less protein if you have kidney disease. It's kind of one of the more popular things that we watch out for. And then the other take home for this is I want to make sure that this is very clear that it's a mindset shift as well, right? We want you to focus on not killing cancer cells. I want you to focus on rebuilding your body. It's way more happy to think that way, and it's way more successful. It opens up your day to what you can eat as opposed to what you can't eat. So just consider these thought processes and if they'll work for you. So that was phase one. We're restoring. We got a house with good bones, and we want to put it all back together again so it's nice and shiny and new and good looking. And then we've got phase two as part of our cancer recurrence prevention is to remove. Basically, we want to remove all the crap that built up during treatment. Things like the dead cells that were killed off from chemo, radiation, immunotherapy, whatever it might have been, even chemo and like medication byproducts. So typically you take a medication or you're delivered the chemo and then it gets processed in the body and then little byproducts typically get removed from your body. Even like things like stress hormones, they need to be removed as well. All these things will build up during treatment. Your body's like working overtime in order to move all this stuff through your system. And then not only do you have to remove all the stuff that you went through from treatment, you also have just day-to-day crap that builds up in the general population. We all have all of this. So you're still a general person that we have to manage. And things like food waste. So you eat things and then not all the parts of the food get used typically and just automatically gets removed. We want to look at environmental contaminants that we typically come into contact with. Your body processes them and then packages them and then removes them from your body so that's nice and safe and you don't have to have any sort of reaction to them. And even just normal cell turnover. Our bodies naturally will make and kill off cells naturally. It's just a natural part of living, and those need to be removed from the body as well. So, what are the organs that are involved in the removal process? Things like the liver, which a lot of people know about already, is I really want to protect my liver. I really want to do liver detoxes and things like that when it comes to chemo because you just feel icky, right? You just feel like everything's kind of built up and you want to release it. And you want to focus on the liver a lot of times for this, and it is a very important part. But other parts would be like your kidneys, your intestines, even your circulatory system, like your blood and stuff like that, and your lymphatic system too. So, how do we support all of this? The big key to supporting these systems, so your liver, your kidneys, your intestines, your blood, your lymphatic flow, is to restore. So, we want to look at the vitamins and minerals and macronutrients in order to help these organs to function. Because your liver, for example, it requires a whole bunch of B vitamins in order to package up medication byproducts and put it into safe basically, like I guess you could say bubbles to get processed and removed through the intestines through bowel movements. Your intestines also need to absorb a lot of these nutrients in order to heal the intestines and help them push the stool and like the medication byproducts that end up in the stool out of the body. So we cannot just give someone a juice cleanse or take this milk thistle or this curcumin or whatever it might be because it's going to cleanse the kidneys or detox the liver. We can't do that necessarily because it's going to cause your body to work overtime if we don't restore it first. So we always want to restore, and then we can look at specific herbals and supplements and nutrients and things like that in order to encourage a proper functioning of the liver, the kidneys, the intestines. Exercise helps with blood flow. Lymphatic stuff could be anything from like rebounding to, again, exercise is honestly the best way you can impact the lymph flow. So there's certain things that can improve it, like bitter vegetables, for example. They can help stimulate digestion and improve bile flow. Cruciferous vegetables can be very good for these things too because of their sulfurous compounds, again, are involved. Like the sulfur is nice for the liver. But instead of jumping into juice cleanses and things like that, I totally want you to think about restoring your body first. This is going to be like 80 to 90% of what is necessary in order to quote unquote cleanse the liver kind of thing. So we can't get too fancy until we get the foundations into place. Another important piece of this is digestion. I feel like the liver is very important, but it often takes on a little bit more responsibility, or it's told it should take on more responsibility than what it is actually responsible for. So your liver is responsible for like processing things, packaging them, but it's your intestines a lot of the time that's responsible for actually removing it from the body, right? Bowel movements. We're going to talk about poop a lot in this podcast, so I hope you're getting comfortable. But basically, we want to get the intestines moving optimally. We want to improve the digestive system and the removal of waste through your body. So we really want to aim for people to have bowel movements at least once a day, ideally, potentially even twice, depending on everything else that's going on in your body, potentially any surgeries and things like that that you may have had as well. But the intestines, if we can support your good gut health, some keys to good gut health are intestinal movement. So it's called like peristalsis, the movement of things through your intestines. So it gets pushed through. We want to look at the microflora, which you probably have heard of before. If you have any interest in some of this natural health stuff, it's like the bacteria and the other things that might live in your gut to help process things like food. They're also a big part of your immune system. And your intestinal lining is very important as well. So all these things, once they're restored, once the body's restored, then we can start looking at specific nutrients and supplements and stuff like that in order to improve the gut lining, in order to help with the peristaltic movement. Although stress reduction is a big thing that helps with the movement of stool through the intestines for sure. There's certain things like bitters, even ginger and things like that that can help with the movement through the intestines. And the microflora, of course. We often love to do some testing in the microflora. We can do a stool test where we can get a comprehensive analysis of what's going on in the gut, and it typically relates a lot to the microflora. But once we kind of know what's going on there, we can also do it based on symptoms and history. Then we can address what bacteria might be missing or might be overgrown, and we can help to balance that out. So I would just want to come back to the point that removing, yes, it involves the liver, but the intestines are, I would say, even a bigger chunk of what's important when it comes to detoxification and supporting optimal health post-treatment. So the next thing I want to talk about is the last phase, protect, phase 3. And the whole idea here is that like now your body is stronger. Let's make sure that it stays that way. We want to protect against potential exposures that might be coming at you, environmental contaminants, whether it's like BPA, parabens, phthalates, heavy metals, molds, things like that. Let's start taking a look in your outside environment now to see what can we do to limit your exposure. And we can't always 100% get rid of everything we're exposed to for sure, but slowly and steadily over time, we can start to look at everything from your kitchen cooking appliances and things like that. Like, what do you use for a kettle? Is it plastic? Is it metal? What do you do for lotions and makeups and things like that? Can we start looking at that in the ingredients and switching some stuff out? A lot of the times when women come to work with us, they've already thought about all this and they're doing a lot of work on this, which is fantastic. So you might already be there too. With certain at certain touch points with clients, once we have other aspects into place, we might also look at some testing for heavy metals, mold exposure, stuff like that. But basically, we just want to see what can we reduce your exposure to. I'm not looking for perfection here. Your body is like super capable of a lot of things. If we can optimize its overall functioning and restore it and just get your liver, kidneys, intestines, all these things working very well, then a lot of times if it comes into some of these potential bad exposures, it can manage it, it can handle it and get rid of it. But sometimes we need a little extra support, and sometimes this is kind of where testing comes in sometimes to see what is most important. And just generally speaking, take a look around your house to see what can we easily replace, not overnight. We do not need to be afraid of it. Again, your body is strong and capable. We need to kind of start to look at what can we do right now, and over even like I'm even still finding some things now and I'm like, you know what? Why don't I replace that? I did that with my measuring cups about a year ago now, I guess it was. But I went and bought some stainless steel ones as opposed to plastic. Did I totally worry that plastic is what's going to cause cancer? No. I think it could be a potential contributing factor. It's something I could change, something I could control, and I was ready to do it. So I did it. I switched it out for some stainless steel measuring cups, for example. Another part of Protect, so we talked about reducing your exposure. So we want to make sure that we're limiting your contact with things that might be potentially harmful. But another part of this with protecting your body is to actually aim to kill cancer cells as well. And this is where we might get a little bit more in depth with targeted supplements. So a lot of the research, and again, we'll talk about this as we go through on these trainings, but a lot of the research is more animal studies and cell culture. So we want to use that whenever we can, but I don't want everyone to focus exactly on targeted supplements that kill cancer. I really want you to pay more attention to these foundational approaches that we're going to talk about time and time again. But there is a part of a cancer cancer prevention, cancer recurrence prevention plan and a recovery plan that does come down to targeted supplements for certain cancer pathways, certain cancer types, things like that, certain certain foods, certain eating plans, that kind of stuff that might be more anti-cancer, but it has to be taken with the right person at the right time kind of thing. And another part about protecting, so you reduce your exposure, you aim to kill cancer cells, and you also strengthen the body to be able to optimally defend against cancer-causing substances, which is kind of like an overlap. Again, we covered that in Restore, where if we're strengthening the body by giving it its building blocks, we're building new walls, that kind of stuff, then we are going to improve like your immune function, we're going to improve your liver function, that kind of stuff. If we start to improve the removal processes of the body, your digestion, your detoxification, then that's going to strengthen other aspects of your health too. It's going to improve your detoxification processes. It's going to improve your immune support. So your immune support being important because immune cells can go and find and fight cancer before they become a problem, right? So protect is about reducing your exposure. It's about actually tackling and killing cancer cells. And it's also about strengthening the body overall so that it can be a good defense system. It's like nice, strong castle. We're going from restoring a house in the country to building a castle, basically. Whenever we can have a good, strong immune system, all your organs know how to work. They're functioning optimally. They've got all the resources they need to thrive. All that kind of stuff is happening. And honestly, protection is not perfection. We do not need to worry about it every day. What I want people to start focusing on is have faith in your body a lot of times. You definitely want to make changes. You definitely want to keep tabs on what's working and what's not working. But I want you to come at it from a place of curiosity and not fear. Whenever you're thinking, should I change my kettle out? What about this lotion? Oh my gosh, it's just not this thought process of, oh my gosh, I've got to get rid of that immediately. It's cancer causing, it's going to cause harm. It's just not how things work. We want to come at that from, all right, so I'm almost done with this. Why don't I start researching what else might be out there? We often get people to use the ewg.org website. They have great resources on there for looking at environmental contaminants. So I'm going to go start doing some research to figure out what can I do in order to look at some of these ingredients and maybe exclude them, learn about them, exclude them if I need to, and what are other safe products. So always a place of curiosity, not fear. And this can be fun as well. It doesn't have to be scary. It can be fun. Often we have to reassess our mindset where we automatically think, oh, I've got to make a change or I've got to do something and I wasn't doing it before and it's something new and I just don't want to. But is it really something you don't want to do? Is it really as hard as your brain is trying to tell you it is? If you just reassess like, oh, I can spend like 10 minutes doing a little bit of research here and then I can use the same product for the next 10, 20, 30 years until maybe it's discontinued, right? So just reassess your thought processes sometimes as well. And sometimes it is hard, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it is hard to make some of these changes, but then it's like coming at it with grace and forgiveness and things like that for you. And just knowing that like, no matter what, you're making some change here. All right, so that's what I had for you today. I just want to leave you with, you're not broken. Your body's not permanently like this. You're not never going to get back to the things you were doing. You're not never going to be afraid of cancer again. You do have the opportunity to make change. It's a reinvention. It's a new time. And you were left on the curb, you were kicked to the curb with nothing else to do. And I know you're probably digging in and trying to figure out all that you can do. And I'm glad that you're here because we are going to teach you episode after episode, what can you do in order to reduce your risk of cancer coming back. And today we just went through the 3 phases of recovery and into the beginning foundations of recurrence prevention. Phase 1 being to restore, to top up what was used up during treatment. Phase 2 being to remove, which is removing all the crap that gets built up during treatment, as well as day-to-day life. So improving your removal processes, detoxification, that kind of stuff. And also phase 3 is about protecting, which once phase 2 and phase 3 are mostly into place, we're looking at reducing exposures, killing cancer cells, and overall optimizing the functioning of the body. So these are your initial starting points, your overarching concepts. I hope you picked up a couple of things today from what I was chatting about, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Flourish After Cancer podcast. If you loved this episode, please be sure to leave a review and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Sending all my best your way, Dr. Megan.